and welcome to our 6th edition of Ask Me Anything. We're back here in Culver City, California. For those of you that don't know, that is in Los Angeles. We're in a neighborhood here. We're at our corporate office in the brand room. Super cute with all the color behind us, our little Schwarzkopf guy in the background. Welcome to Ask Me Anything. Today, you can type any questions that you have into the chat box. But first, let's find out who's joining from where. Go ahead and I see we've got somebody from Boise, Idaho here. Type in, where are you joining us from? What part of the country? We'd love to see that. So today we're going to be answering your questions. Now type your questions into the chat box. You might be watching from Instagram, you might be watching from Facebook, you might be watching from YouTube. We're going to answer your questions from all of these places. I see we've got somebody here from Canada. Welcome. If today I cannot get to your question and I don't answer it, as a reminder, we do have the opportunity to book your one-on-one appointment with an educator. Remember, go to our Switch with SKP. That's SWITCH with SKP.com. Go there, book your one-on-one appointment. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and start answering some questions because I can see questions coming in already. And I see we've got some people from Long Beach. We've got some from even Pakistan, Trinidad, Saudi Arabia. I love this. We're definitely global today. But let's get into some questions here. So your high lift colors only work on non-artificial color. Also, the blondes would like to see a video on that. Okay, so yes, our high lifts, which come in the blue box here, do only lift through, they do not lift through artificial color. They only lift through virgin hair. So that being said, I can't use it on somebody who I've colored their hair and actually get a result. However, we do have colors in our Igora Zero book, which is our permanent hair color range, that will cut through. So your high lifts are in the blue box. That's these. These are only going to lift virgin hair. They're not meant to lift previously colored hair. However, if I need to lift previously colored hair, if we move on to our fashion lights, these come in a purple box. It's our L series. L-00 is basically like no pigment weight. It's just going to give you up to 5 levels of lift. L-44 is our beige tone, L-77 is our copper, L-88 is red, and L-89 is red violet. These will give you up to 5 levels of lift and tone in one step, even on previously colored hair. So these will be your go-to. They are off scalp only, not to be utilized on scalp, but that's okay. Think about if you were to do a platinum card on somebody and you really wanted to make everything blonde. You could take your L-44, which is already going to give you that beige tone and give you the up to 5 levels of lift, do back-to-back foils like you would a platinum card, and then choose whatever high lift shade you wanted to and the regrowth on that area on the root between the foil and that area, and then you'll have a beautiful blonde. So great question there. Love talking about high lifts. They are phenomenal. Let's take a look at the next question we have here. Okay, you've been a Matrix user for 28 years. Awesome. If you haven't tried it yet, definitely try Schwarzkopf. Hopefully you love it. And if you are switching over, don't forget to go to our switch with skp.com, which Schwarzkopf is so kindly put into the chat box for you as well. Let's see if we've got some other questions here. I see one down here towards the bottom. When do you recommend utilizing clear? Great question. So clear is available in our Igora Zero, which is our permanent hair color range, but it's also available in our Demi permanent range, which is our Vibrance. Now, clear is something I use more in my Demi permanent than I ever use in my permanent range. However, I'll give you an answer to both. So my clear is right here. Clear is just what it sounds like. It's our 0-00 clear. It can be used by itself as a shine treatment for the hair, or it can be mixed with any color to sheer it out and make it more translucent. So let me give you first how to utilize clear by itself as a shine treatment. So if I just wanted to do a shine treatment on my hair, I can take 0-00 clear. Now, little reminder for those of you that may not know, we have a small bottle of clear like this, or we have a 500 milliliter bottle, a larger bottle that I like to keep at the shampoo bowl. So if I want to do a clear treatment at the shampoo bowl, I can simply get it straight out of the bottle. If you are doing a clear treatment, no need to add any sort of activator or developer I'm going to shampoo the hair first, towel dry. I'll apply my 0-00 clear all over everything. Let that sit for up to 20 minutes. This way I will get up to 12 shampoos worth of additional shine. Now, if I am adding clear into a formula, most of the time I'm adding clear into a formula because I'm trying to make something more translucent. So a good example of that would be my lightest version of my red is 7-88. What if I wanted a lighter version yet? Like I want this to be even more translucent. I want a lighter version of this. I can mix my 7-88 with clear to dilute this formula and get a different tone to it. Or maybe there's another shade that I want to tone with that I don't have available. So say I really like the 7-24 or a 9-24, but it's not available in a level 10 toner or in a 9.5 series. I could take my level 9-24 and mix it with my clear equal parts. I'm going to add developer in a 1-to-1 ratio. So say I did 20 grams of 9-24, which is going to be that ash beige, and then 20 grams of 0-00 clear, 20 and 20 is 40. So it'd be 40 grams of my activator. So I can use it to make things more translucent. Now, let's talk about clear and permanent, because some of you on this might have used other color brands. And in some color brands, the clear 0-00 can slightly shift out some artificial color. And I say slightly because color cannot lift color predictably. In our clear 0-00, for those of you that know, I had worked with Tracy Cunningham, celebrity colorist, and she has found that 0-00 clear used with 20 or 30 volume will sometimes slightly shift out. Now, again, we don't test this in our labs here, but she utilizes it that way as well. So maybe you could take your 0-00 clear with your 20 or 30 volume Igora Rail developer. Just let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes and it might shift slightly. I'm not saying even up to one level of lift. It might shift out previous color. So those are multiple ways to use your clear in Igora Real and also in our Vibrance. So hopefully that answered that question. And then the next question was, what would be the best activator with it, 20 or 30 volume? And if we're talking about the clear that I was just talking about, if I'm trying to shift out color, I think it depends on how much you want to shift and also the texture of hair. If it's a finer hair texture, 20 volume may be just enough. If it's a coarser hair texture, you'd want to move up to 30 volume. So great question. Thank you for that. All right, so moving on. If I do not fully answer your question, just a reminder, check out our website, switchwithskp.com, book your one-on-one appointment with an educator so that you can get all of your questions answered in full detail. All right, Veronica, looks like I tried the Blonde Me Lightener and it's amazing. And looking at switching color lines, we'll need to help convert formulas. Any educators in the Denver area? Veronica, we do have educators in that area. So John David is a regional education manager and he is covering that territory right now. So if you have a sales rep, then you can ask your sales rep to book a class for you. If you do not have a sales rep, you can talk to your local distributor, which in Denver is Cosmo Prof. And Cosmo Prof can also send in a class request for you so that you're able to do that. But I highly recommend you go ahead and book your one-on-one appointment also with an Ask Expert by going to our Switch with SKP page, because they can definitely help you with that as well. All right, so favorite vanilla blonde toner formula for a level 9-10. Ooh, love this. All right, so everybody's idea of vanilla blonde is different. If I'm thinking vanilla blonde, I'm thinking maybe something that's not too warm, but it's not too cool. It's this nice blonde that doesn't read like silver, but it also isn't like super warm. I would say that my number one toner options for this. Now, I know you said level 9-10. If they're closer to a level 10, my number one combination for a vanilla toner is going to be taking 10-1, which is my Cendre. It's a blue violet tone. We call this our anti-yellow. I would mix that with my 10-5, equal parts. The 10-5 is my gold. You might be like, Amber, I don't want her to have gold hair. I know. But sometimes the most beautiful vanilla blonde color comes with mixing a cool with a warm. It's very popular right now. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend. So if they're level 10, like inside of a banana peel, level 10, Mixing the -1, which is Cendré Blue Violet, with my -5, which is my gold, is the most beautiful vanilla blonde. Now, if she's only a level 9, that's when maybe I want to move down into my 9.5 series. So in my 9.5 series, there's two combinations that I like to use. One combination is mixing 9.5-1, which is my Cendré or Blue Violet, that anti-yellow, mixing it with my -4, which is my beige. That is a muted gold. It's a softer gold. That's going to be slightly cooler than if I mix it with a 9.5-5, which is my gold, which is my secondary favorite formula. Now, something else that I do love, if you love a champagne color, which is this hint of a rosé, the 9.5-46 is one of my favorite toners. If you've never used it, highly recommend. So you might even try utilizing this one. Again, it's that beautiful champagne with a hint of like this slight little bit of pinkiness that when you blow dry it, that disappears and just looks like a beautiful champagne. So maybe even try mixing this with a gold or with your Cendré, that anti-yellow. So lots of options. Depends on how much warmth you have as to whether I would add more of the -1, but typically equal parts of a warm and a cool is going to give you the most beautiful vanilla blonde toner. So I hope that helped you out. Now, we have color charts available. Yes, absolutely. So on our switchwithskp.com page, not only do we have our opportunity to book your appointment one-on-one, but we also have some of these. So what we're saying here is that we have these color charts that show you everything that we have to offer in Igora Riel in a PDF version that you can download. The beauty of this is I have my color circle here, which is going to help you know what colors you can find, like what the color directions are. Our number system that you see on the screen here is on the back page of this. On the Igora Riel one, it also has the color of the boxes, what each color means, how to mix and formulate for it. And in our Vibrance one, it's going to have mixing ratios and formulas also for anything that is in Vibrance on the back of it. So we have lots of tools for you that are on our Switch with SKP page. So if you are new, definitely check those out. All right. So what is the function to the clear in a treatment? So I'm going to answer this in a way of, so clear is not necessarily a treatment per se. Our clear is truly a shine treatment, as in it's giving shine, and it's going to give you the benefits that Vibrance has. So Vibrance has this Aquasil technology in it. Aquasil is a combination of vitamins B3 and B5 in combination with sugar molecules that crystallize on the outside of that hair strand, really locking in the moisture on the inside of that hair strand and giving extreme shine on the outer strand of that hair. Those benefits exist in all of our color in Vibrance. So if you're utilizing clear by itself, you're getting all of those beautiful benefits of that technology, but without the added developer because you're not developing any color pigments. Now, I did want to let you know that we do also have a clear in our Chroma ID. If you're not familiar, Chroma ID are colored bonding conditioners for the hair. These can be utilized by themselves as a bonding treatment, and it contains also panthenol and keratin to really give your hair that moisture that it needs as well. It's going to be a true treatment and clear shine for the hair. So we also have Chroma ID. To utilize Chroma ID, you would start by shampooing the hair just like you would if you're doing the Vibrance Clear treatment. You would towel dry just like you would with a Vibrance treatment. You'd take your Chroma ID Clear 0-00 by itself, put all over the hair. That's going to sit for up to 10 minutes, and you'll simply rinse that from the hair. No need for added conditioner. You already conditioned and gave a shine treatment at the same time. So it's an excellent option. So I hope that answered your question. So let's see what we have next. So TBH has a tone softener. What about permanent color? How to soften its tone and have less warmth. So TBH, this is something that's still out there, but it is something that we have discontinued. It was one of our color brands. And just for those of you that don't know, TBH stood for True, Beautiful, Honest. And it was a color line that was ammonia, but it was 50% less ammonia and also had MEAs in it as well. So you didn't get as much shift and lift in the hair color. It sat beautifully between a permanent and a demi-permanent color, where maybe a demi-permanent doesn't have enough gray blending, but a permanent is too opaque. That's where TBH came in. So I can see why you might be asking that question. We had something called a tone softener within TBH. That tone softener simply took a permanent color and turned it into a demi-permanent color. Now with Igora Riel, we don't recommend utilizing our tone softener to do the same thing, as our permanent color is meant to be permanent. And essentially that tone softener was meant to turn a permanent into a demi-permanent. And with us, we don't have anything that we recommend to turn our permanent. However, if you're somebody who wants to utilize something that's maybe in between the two, we have our Igora Zero. This is an ammonia-free range. So it's ammonia free, but it's a permanent hair color range, which means I still get up to 4 levels of lift in a high lift. It still gives me the normal lift that I would get in a permanent hair color, but it's ammonia free. Within this range, we have the ability to turn some of these shades into more of a demi-permanent capability. We can't truly call them demi-permanents when we're utilizing Igora Riel, because Igora Riel is permanent. It has ammonia, so it would not be demi-permanent, but this is ammonia free. So in order to turn these shades into a demi-permanent, you can take any level 8, 9, or 10. So any level 8, 9, or 10, you can mix with 3 parts of your Igora Vibrance Activator Lotion. And I say lotion on purpose. If you use gel, it will still work, but it gets a little clumpy mixed in with the color. So we recommend utilizing the lotion. So it's 1 part of any level 8, 9, or 10 mixed with 3 parts of your activator lotion. That's going to shear out whatever shade you're utilizing here and allow you to use that as a toner. So that would be the closest thing that I have for you, and it would not involve a tone softener. It would simply involve adding more developer to turn it into demi-permanent capabilities within your Igora color or Igora Zero, our ammonia-free range. So I hope that helped, but unfortunately, tone softener is not something that we have anymore because we're not recommending it for Igora Riel. If we do come out with something like that, we will let you know. All right, so next up, we've got a question. Why does one of my clients' 100% gray coverage on blonde hair fade out within a week? I use Igora Riel 8-0 and 8-4 on her hair. Now, that's a great question. It's hard to say if you're not truly seeing that client. Did that hair truly grow out or was it fade out? So that's where I would like to get a little clarification on that question, because sometimes hair grows faster than others. And so somebody says, my hair color faded off, I see my gray again, when really the hair has just grown out a very small amount and they're seeing the gray. So if that's the case, that's just going to happen. Now, one thing that you could do if you're using 8-0 and 8-4 on her, maybe you want to add a little bit of our 8-00. So it sounds like this client might have coarse resistant white hair, and with a coarse resistant white hair texture, we have 8-00. That's our level 8, and it's going to be our natural extra. There's 25% more pigment weight in the 8-00 than there is in the 8-0. So I challenge you to try mixing your 8-4 with an 8-00 to get that little bit of extra pigment weight to keep that from fading, and that might help you out. And then also maybe have her send you a picture so that you can verify, like, is it fading off of the gray hair or is it truly just growing out? But 8-00 instead of 8-0 will definitely help you on that. The other part is maybe leave that color on an extra 5 minutes or put a cap on it to maintain some of the heat of the scalp to really help to get longevity. So I hope that helped. If you do want to schedule a one-on-one appointment with an educator so you can discuss even more, go to our Switch with SKP page and you can chat with one of our professional education team members and they can help you really break down that formula. So looking at the next one, with the next question is, please tell me the best formula for gray blending. So we all know gray blending is super popular right now. People are loving gray coverage, but they want it to be more natural so that when it grows out, there's not as much of a line of demarcation. My answer for that is Vibrance. Vibrance is the key to amazing gray blending. So within Vibrance, to get the best gray blending, now in this question, you didn't tell me what level you were looking for gray blending, so I'm just going to give a general overall best way to get gray blending in Vibrance. So with Vibrance, you can get up to 70% gray blending. And on fine hair, guys, I have seen 100% gray coverage on fine hair with Vibrance. The key to achieving the best gray blending with Vibrance is to have 1/3 of your formula as our dash 00 or natural extra. So in Vibrance, we also have dash 00, which is natural extra. This dash 00 does contain that 25% more pigment weight than the regular dash 0. This is going to help us to achieve that gray blending. So no matter what formula you choose, only 1/3 of your formula needs to be a dash 00, and you'll want to use your 13 volume activator lotion to get that maximum gray blending. What happens if I mix 1/3 of my formula with dash 00 and I'm not using 13 volume? You might get a little bit more gray coverage, but it'll be up to 50% gray blending rather than 70%. So the key to 70% gray blending is mixing 1/3 of your formula with dash 00. So just to make things a little easier, I'm going to give an example. Say I love 8-46. This is what I want my client's hair to look like. This is a beige chocolate. It's a beautiful shade. I love it for low lights and blondes. It's phenomenal. So maybe I want this to be her base, but I need gray coverage. I could take 30 grams of my 8-46. So the majority of my formula is my level 8 beige chocolate. And only 1/3 of my formula is going to be my dash 00. So 1/3 of my formula is going to be a level 8 dash 00 natural extra. So 20 grams of 8-00. 30 plus 20 is going to be 50. And I'm going to mix that with my 13 volume activator lotion, and that will give me that maximum of 70% gray blending. So I hope that helped. No matter what level you're on, we do have everything from a level 3 all the way up to a level 9 in our dash 00 series. So lots of options for endless creativity on getting gray blending. So great question. Thank you for that. All right, so next question. We've got every time I use 9.5-4 or even 9-4, it comes out pretty ash. Is there a reason for that? Another great question. There is a reason for that. So let's talk about dash 4 for just a second. Dash 4 is beige. Beige is a muted gold. Let's take a look at our color circle for just a quick second here. So when we're looking at the color circle here, my dash 4 sits right here. So it's right here at that yellow, but it's a little towards the green side. Think about it like this. If I have yellow and I'm going to soften yellow, so our beige is a muted gold. What softens yellow? It's going to be a violet. So if I have a violet in my formula, that means there's some blue color molecules in the hair. We know that at a level 9 or a level 10, hair can be more porous. And more porous hair likes to grab cooler tones. So if I'm using dash 4 by itself on a level 9 or a level 10, what's happening is that hair is first grabbing the blue color molecules, and then it's not grabbing the true gold molecules as much. It's just grabbing that little bit of blue that's there to soften that gold. Options, you can do 9.5-5 in with that formula to add a little bit more gold, or use our hair primer. So we have in our brand some color tools, and these color tools are meant to help you behind the chair. One of those color tools is a hair primer. It comes in a bottle that is white with black letters, and it's a spray. It's something that you spray into the mid-lengths and ends of the hair. What it does is it evens out the porosity of that hair, and it has an anti-metal technology. So that being said, if I am trying to get an even tone and I want it to not pick up that blue that I'm seeing or those cool tones, spraying that primer in first will even out the porosity so that those porous areas don't grab that blue tone. The other thing, if I'm lifting hair with a lightener, if you've ever had a lightener start to react with anything in the hair, metals in the hair, what you can do with this is use that hair primer first on any hair that you're going to highlight. What that does is has that anti-metal technology, so it can also eliminate the lightener from having reactions. So hopefully that helps. So hair primer is your best friend, but also maybe start adding a little bit of gold into your formula. But the reason for that is we have a muted gold. So you've got gold and you're muting it with a violet, which does have a blue color molecule, and that porous hair is grabbing that. So I hope that makes sense, and maybe just add a little bit of gold to your formula, and that will help you out tremendously. What is a good formula for strawberry blonde? A strawberry blonde is so popular right now. How many of us out there are seeing this all over social media right now? You can raise your hand, give hearts, whatever. It's everywhere. Instead of blonde, it's almost like this strawberry blonde. Everybody is loving it. So, how do I achieve the best strawberry blonde? There are a lot of options. My hair's a little bit more red or strawberry, if you will, than blonde, but there's a lot of great options. So it depends on how light or dark you want this strawberry blonde to be. But I will tell you that we do have a new toner. It's our 9.5-47. That is a beige copper. This is a beautiful strawberry blonde. It's got this great, like just light peachy color to it. Now, if you're like, Amber, that's too peachy for me, I don't want that. I would mix this with our 9.5-5. So take that gold and mix in with the 9.5-47. So they're both toners. One is a beige copper and the other one is a gold. Now, other options. Sometimes you want something a little bit deeper. So one of my favorites is I have a 9-65 and I have a 9-7. So a level 9-65 is a chocolate gold. So I've got that richness of the chocolate and the little bit of gold. Mixing that with the 9-7 makes a beautiful strawberry blonde tone. Using 9-7 by itself is also beautiful. In our coppers, if there's two numbers after the dash, for instance, 7-77 is a level 7 copper extra. There's extra copper. 9-7 is just one copper. It's actually a very soft copper. Sometimes on its own, it can be the most beautiful tone. Now, the other one that I like to do is 9-57. It's a level 9 and it's a gold copper. By itself, it is the most beautiful strawberry blonde. Now, it depends on how you want to use it. If you want it as an all over toner, then I recommend talking about those 9.5 series. But if you're doing low lights in hair, I also love taking the 9-57 and a platinum blonde to add just that little bit of a strawberry blonde low light into the hair. And if you are watching social media, that's what a lot of people are doing. They're making it blonde, but they're low lighting a strawberry blonde into the hair to get that hint of that little bit of a coppery. So those are some great options for you. Try them and feel free to even tag me on Instagram. I'm at AmberHug, AmberHug, just like my name. So you can always tag me. Also tag us at Schwarzkopf. Schwarzkopf USA is what you'll find on our Instagram page. Schwarzkopf Professional is Schwarzkopf USA. All right, checking out the next one. What is a good formula for strawberry blonde? We already did. Is it necessary to mix with activator? Now, I'm not sure if we're talking about the color. In any of our colors and vibrance, yes, it is necessary to mix these with an activator in order for it to activate the pigments that are in the color. The only time you don't need to use an activator with vibrance is when you're using clear 0-00 by itself as a shine treatment in hair. So hopefully that answered that one, but if not, go ahead and book your one-on-one with a Schwarzkopf educator at switchwithskp.com. All right. Do the 10-minute Royale have a darker result? So 10-minute Royale, for those of you that don't know, we do have actually a 10-minute permanent hair color range, which who doesn't want that? Like, hello, I can do a quick, easy lunchtime service. It only takes 10 minutes to process. This is color 10. Color 10 is our 10-minute hair color range. All of our color 10 shades are also going to have this brown box that matches this color. Now, your question is, do these results end up being darker? And if you use this properly, the answer to that is no. These are not going to appear darker. So how color 10 works, the technology in color 10, the first time I heard about color 10, I was like, whoa, you mean you can get 100% gray coverage in only 10 minutes? Like, what is in this that's making it work? Like, is it damaging to the hair? The answer to that is no. So we use something called an amino acid delivery system. If you know anything about amino acids, they are the building blocks of keratin, and keratin is what your hair is made of. We use the two smallest ones, arginine and glycine. So fun fact about arginine and glycine is that they love color pigments. So we've actually attached our color pigment to the arginine and glycine. And fun fact, if hair is keratin, it wants those amino acids. So as soon as you apply that color, that hair is like, ooh, I want these amino acids. And it takes the amino acids and also the color pigment at the same time, hence getting that extra color or getting that color to process in just 10 minutes. Now, to your point of is it darker? If you use it properly and you only let it sit for that 10 to 15 minutes processing time, it will not be darker. It is a combination of that amino acid carrier system and extra color pigments that are making this work fast. So what happens if I leave this on longer than 15 minutes is that they continue to develop these pigments. So while everything in this box is still a level 5, I'm doing a 5-7, everything is a level 5, but as it starts to develop, it's developing all these pigments, and that color may be more dense. So the only time that color 10 will appear darker is if you leave it on longer than the recommended 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I want to clear this up. Color 10 is not a progressive color. For those of you that know what progressive color is, great. For those of you that don't, progressive means that if I put the color on and I don't take it off, it's going to continue to get darker, 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 darker till it eventually turns black. That is not going to happen with color 10. It will get slightly darker if I leave it on longer, but that's more because it's all that same level 5 pigment developing more and appearing more dense. It's like if I only did, say, one shade, like say I only do one layer of watercolor on a painting, it's going to be translucent. If I do 10 layers of watercolor, it's going to be really dense. So think of it as just developing more pigments and becoming more inky because I've layered on that color and developing more pigments. So recommended time 10, 15 minutes if you've got coarse resistant white hair, and you will get 100% gray coverage at the level you need. So if I did 8-0 on my new growth in Igora Real 1 month, and the next month I did color 10, they will match 100% as long as you develop for that 5 to 10 minutes. So, or sorry, 10 to 15 minutes. So give it a try if you haven't. Color 10 can be an amazing way to catch up at the salon. It's a great way to get some great blending or do lunchtime. So hopefully that helped you out there. And then there's the next question. So with the 10-minute, with a darker result, do you need to level up? And the answer to that, I hope I answered it in the last question. You do not need to level up unless you plan on leaving it on for 30 minutes. And if that's the case, just do Igora Real. Don't do color 10. Only do color 10 if you're fast at applying and if you're only going to process for 10 to 15 minutes. And then you can do the same level in color 10 as you do in Igora Real. So hopefully that answered that. Now let's take a look. I see we have somebody who asked, can our 0-00 be mixed with our 6-63? 6-63 is a level 6, and that is a chocolate matte. So chocolate matte is going to have that green pigment that's going to get rid of any red. So I actually do love our 6-63 because I call them the Kardashians of the line. It's a really deep, rich chocolate shade, but you're not going to see red because you've got that green to counteract any red. So the question here is, can I mix it with a clear? And yes, I guess the answer to that would be yes, I can mix it with clear. So this is our 6-63 here. You can mix it with clear. The question is, what are you looking for with that? Because if I mix with clear, the approximation, so when we're thinking of mixing clear with something, the 6-63 will be a more diluted version of 6-63, but it's not going to be like a 7-63. However, my eye might perceive it as a level 7. So when you're mixing half of your formula with clear, your eye may perceive it as approximately 1 level lighter than where it was at. The difference is there's different pigment molecules that sit at different levels. So if I was to make a 7-63, so a level 7 chocolate matte, I might need different molecules in different amounts for it to truly look like a level 7. It's really just going to look like a more translucent version of 6-63. So the time that I like to mix 6-63 with clear is if I'm doing 6-63 on her new growth, so that level 6 chocolate matte on her regrowth with permanent color to get that 100% gray coverage, and I don't want the ends to take too much pigment weight. A lot of times I will mix my mid to end formula with equal parts clear just for a slightly more translucent pigment weight. That way I'm still getting that chocolate matte color, but it's not as pigmented. So it's going to give that refresh, but it won't go too deep then. So absolutely, you can mix your clear with 6-63 in a refreshing moment. It is one of my favorite things to do. So great question there. Thank you. All right, so continue to type your questions in here. I've got a lot more here, but If you type them in and we don't get to them today, you can book your one-on-one with one of our educators, or we will answer them again next week. So next question, why does one of my 100% gray coverage clients' blonde hair fade out within a week? That one we answered earlier. And so with that one, it's a matter of, is it fading out or is it growing out? There is a difference. When hair grows out, we start to see that gray. But my recommendation on that was to mix your 8-00, so level 8 natural extra, with your 8-4 for that extra pigment weight. That's going to give a little bit more hold and longevity to that color. So moving on to our next question, that was just a quick little recap on that one. We've got another question. I do see that Schwarzkopf made some comments here. All right, so when mixing Vibrance Zero and other color lines 1-to-1 with activator, if you are using clear in Vibrance alone without another shade, no activator is needed. Okay, that was just an answer. So I read the wrong one. That wasn't a question. So that was just giving like our experience in every color line. I just want to reiterate that, because if you're new to Schwarzkopf, you may not know our mixing ratios. So in everything, Igora Real, Igora Vibrance, Color 10, everything is mixed a 1-to-1 ratio. That means 1 part color to 1 part developer. It makes it easy. If it's 30 grams of color, it's going to be 30 grams of developer. Your only one that is different than that is your 12 series. And whenever I see 12, I think 1-to-2. So your high lift 12 series is 1 part color, 2 parts developer. That is your only exception. Outside of that, it's 1-to-1. Now, what she was saying with the clear, if you're using clear alone, you do not need to add any activator. So that's a 1-to-0, I suppose. It's 0-00 by itself with no activator. So that was the clarification there. And 0-00, to answer Taurus, can be mixed with anything in Vibrance. So I can mix it with my 9.5 series toner to get more of a level 10 toner. I can mix it with a level 4, a level 6, any level I want to mix clear with, I can mix. It's just going to make it more translucent. And again, as a refreshing glossing service, I do sometimes love using it with clear just to give a little of that pigment weight, but to sheer it out. So next question we have here. How can we save hairs for damage with color? So color has come a long ways. You may have noticed that, hair is healthier these days than what it used to be, but there's still that potential for damage, mainly when you're going lighter and when you're going with blonde. What I will tell you that we have done is anything that creates lift in our brand will have this little hexagon on it that says bonding included. So this one says bond protection system. And in our Agora Vario Blonde, it's going to be our fiber bond technology. This technology is creating a protective barrier. Bonding is a very key word right now. People are talking about bonding all the time, how to keep hair healthy. Any of our high lifts, anything that creates lift, any high lift that we have in Agora Real, in Vibrance, is going to have a fiber bond technology. This is a salicylic acid that creates a protective barrier and a protective net around each and every bond to help protect the hair as you're lifting. So we've already created colors that are going to be safer and healthier for the hair to keep it from getting damaged. That's already been built into our products. But if you were to lift the hair and you did notice that there was some damage, we do have our Fiber Clinics range. And Fiber Clinics has our triple bonding technology that not only is going to fix the rungs of a ladder. So say bonds are rungs of a ladder, they're broken, we're fixing them. No, we're talking a forest of trees. If you have trees broken in the forest, we're actually helping to create new bonds and reattach and strengthen the inner structure of that hair. Along with a C21, which is the outer cuticle layer, we're refilling all of those lipid layers on the cuticle layer so that the hair has an almost virgin-like appearance. All of our Fiber Clinics range has both of those technologies in it. We have different ranges for different things. We have vibrancy, which is going to be for color retention. We have hydrate for moisture, and then we also have our hydrate for moisture, vibrancy, and fortify for strength. So we'll definitely want you to check out our Fiber Clinics, and that's how you're going to, if you did create damage, to help that hair to feel even better. So next question we have here. So we have checking to see, we have a question down here. All right, so Next question. I want to dye my hair and my hair is dark black and I don't want orange colors and I don't want my hair to get damaged. Hmm. That's a lot. Okay, so the first question I would have for you, if your hair is dark black, how long have you been coloring your hair dark black, or is it just naturally dark? So that would determine what you're going to do here. Anytime somebody's going from black to platinum blonde, have any of you seen those memes online where it's the pumpkin and the pumpkin will start off black and then the pumpkin is orange and then it's a lighter orange and then it's finally white? Guess what? That meme is about hair color. If I'm black and I'm trying to go to blonde, I'm going to get orange in between. It's going to happen. So, unfortunately, hair has underlying warmth. You're going to see this is our pH level system. So, this is the underlying pigment at different levels. So I hate to say it, this is not the answer that I'm sure that you want to hear, but if you're going from black to blonde, you're going to hit some in between orange, and you're going to have to hit in between orange if you don't want to damage your hair. Because what some people do is stylists will say, I can get you from black to platinum blonde today. It's going to be several different applications. They might start with Blonde Me 9 Plus and 20 volume, get them up, hopefully 7 to 9 levels in a healthy way. If it's box color, you're probably not going to get 9 levels of lift. If it's naturally pigmented hair, you might get that light. Then you would apply again. So you're taking hair that just went through a lightening process and you're risking damaging that hair again in one sitting. So it's recommended to do it in multiple sittings. If you're going from black to blonde, I would start by maybe priming that hair with your hair primer first, applying your lightener, doing one session the first time, whether you want to highlight that hair or do a platinum card. Lift it the first time, and wherever you get, just tone at that level. You're gonna have orange. So just take a toner that has a blue in it. If you get up to a level 8, just take like an 8-24, for instance, which we don't actually have an 8-24. We have a 7-24 and a 9-24, which is a blue, and that's going to be an ash beige. Mix those two together to create a level 8 and have something that's really going to kick out the underlying orange that's there, and you'll just be at this like beautiful natural blonde at that level 8. Then the next time you come in, you have time to treat your hair in between. Then you can lift again and get to that lighter, hopefully level 9 shade. So unfortunately, you're going to hit orange in between, but that's where toners come in. You can fight the orange by putting a color over it that has blue and is going to neutralize out the orange, but I highly recommend doing it in stages. Because you also, if you've seen the meme of the pumpkins, the white pumpkin doesn't look like it's in good shape all the time. But if you do things slowly, you can keep the hair in good condition. But that was a great question, and it went right in line with the damage of hair. So hopefully that helped. So next, Vibrance can be used in gray roots. Yes, Vibrance can be used for gray blending. We talked about this earlier. In order to get the maximum gray blending for your Vibrance, it's going to be mixing a third of your formula with a -00. So only 1/3 needs to be -00, and you need to use your 13 volume activator lotion. That's going to give you up to 70% gray blending. Everyone, friends, if you have somebody with a finer hair texture, I have seen with my own eyes 100% gray coverage. So if you have a client who complains that every time they color their hair, they get this underlying warmth and they want more of a gray blending and they want to avoid warm hair, switch them over to Vibrance. Do a third of their formula with a -00 and 13 volume. You'll get that 70% gray blending. And if they have a fine hair texture, it might be 100%. So absolutely, Vibrance can be used in gray coverage. All right. Can we use peroxide on gray hair before going for a gray root touch-up? So this is a great question. My assumption here is that you're talking about pre-softening. For those of you that don't know, this is a very old school way of doing hair. Gray hair is very coarse and resistant, and so a lot of times it can not want to take color. So what people would do is they would find a way to soften, pre-soften that gray hair. Schwarzkopf doesn't recommend it, mainly because Schwarzkopf has not tested pre-softening. My tips, if you're looking to get better gray coverage, because the reason that you're doing that is adding the peroxide is because you're trying to soften that hair first. But if that peroxide is still on the hair, you're also going to dilute the pigment that you're about to put on. So my recommendation would be try these little tips first. Tip number one, put a plastic cap on your client's head. This plastic cap is going to trap in heat. That additional heat is going to help to open up that hair cuticle and drive that dye molecule in a little bit deeper. Number one. Number two, we do not recommend heat with our color. However, for clients that are super resistant, I will put them under a low heat, people. Low heat for just 5 minutes. You only need that low heat for 5 minutes. It's just enough to open that cuticle, remove the heat after 5 minutes, and let it cool. This is going to allow that cuticle to close back down, but that little bit of heat will drive that dye molecule in a little bit more. So try 5 minutes of heat, let it cool the rest of the time. The other thing you can do, the hairline can be the trickiest part. So two things for a hairline. First, you want to formulate one level lighter on the hairline than anywhere else. How many times have you done gray coverage and it looks almost black by the hairline, but everywhere else it's perfect? 99.9% of people have finer hair around the hairline, and finer hair can appear darker when you're applying color. So do one level lighter on the hairline. Then use perm papers. Lay perm papers down on that hair around the hairline. That allows you to trap in the heat and allows that color to stay moist throughout the processing time and can give you better gray coverage. So utilize those tips rather than peroxide, because typically that's for more of a softening and it's not necessary with our brand. All right. Next up is Igora Zero ammonia line, blue violet base. I'm getting the best results with minimal warmth. So great question here. So our Igora Zero is our ammonia-free range. I put that book down here. This is in this green book. So this is our ammonia-free range. It's not a blue violet base. It's going to have the same base as Igora Real. The reason that you're seeing less warmth with your results is because we use MEAs rather than ammonia. So even though I can get up to 3 to 4 levels of lift with my hair color, sometimes MEAs are a little bit softer lift than what I'm getting with Igora Real. So the reason that you're getting less warmth has more to do with the amount of lift that you're getting as you're lifting. It's a slightly softer lift, but then also we have more cool shades available in Igora Zero, because Igora Zero is meant to have more of that natural look. So it's meant to look like even our coppers. If you were to use 7-77 in Igora Zero next to 7-77 in Igora Real, you would see slightly more vibrancy in the 7-77 in Igora Real and slightly less vibrancy in this, because it's meant to be a more natural tone. So think about it like this. If I was to paint a chair red versus stain a chair red. So we're thinking of a red chair. If I paint it red, it's going to be a very flamboyant red. It's going to be that fire truck, fire engine red. If I stain it, it's still red, but it's more natural red, and I might see the wood grain underneath. I'm still getting 100% gray coverage, but I might see the highs and lows. So the coverage that you're getting with this, I'm going to see some of those highs and lows a little bit more than I would with Igora Real. And so with this, the minimal warmth has more to do with the lift that you're getting from it might be slightly less than what you get from a permanent, and that's why you're seeing less warmth. So hopefully that answered. It is not a blue violet base. It is the same base. They're just more natural tones, and there's a lot cooler shades within Igora Zero than some of the cool shades that we have in Igora Real. We have some different ones. So hopefully that helps. The next question we have, all right. So this question is, if I took like a level 6 chocolate gold, which is a 6-65, with a 6-12, which is a Cendré Ash, and 0-11, how would it look? So it depends on if you're doing gray coverage. I will tell you 0-11 is a neutralizer for color, and neutralizers will help neutralize out unwanted warmth. However, they will dilute gray coverage. So if you're doing a gray coverage formula, I would not add a 0-11 into your formula. So if it's not gray coverage with this, you're going to get that chocolate gold, but you're also getting a cool shade. So you're mixing cool and warm. You're essentially creating your own natural neutral shade. So that's what you would see as the level 6 natural neutral. You're just not going to get as much gray coverage or gray blending with that. So Paula says, I'm using 8-00 plus 8-4 equal parts with 20 volume, and still my gray root is translucent. Should I add 0-00 to help? So Paula, there is a chance that maybe you need to go sometimes you have to go slightly deeper, and you may not want to go deeper if you're not getting the gray coverage that you're wanting. Adding 0-00 is actually going to shear out your coverage. I would utilize one of the tips that I just talked about first. So whether it's applying the cap over your scalp so that you maintain some of that heat, maybe utilizing some perm strips around the hairline, or just that 5 minutes of heat and let it cool for 5, try that first. If that doesn't work, maybe add, even if it's just a slight little bit of maybe a 7-00 into your formula. Every once in a while, we're just too light for what we're trying to achieve. So maybe bringing that down just a tad, even if it's just a couple of grams of 7-00 into your formula to kind of help add a little bit more pigment weight. So next question here, what is a good formula for a level 8 mushroom brown? Great question. So everybody sees color different. For me, mushroom brown has like this coolness to it, but it's also got a little bit of warmth. So a shade that we have that I love in a darker mushroom brown is 6-16. It's a level 6, and that's a Cendré chocolate. So that's that blue violet chocolate shade. It's like a smoky chocolate. It's super beautiful, has this nice coolness, but that little bit of warmth. So we don't have that in a level 8. And what you're looking for is a level 8. So my recommendation here, the -24 that we were just talking about, we don't have a level 8 in this, but you can mix a level 9 with a level 7 to create a level 8. Now this is going to be that ash beige. So it's not going to have as much of that like chocolate to it. So my recommendation here is we've got an 8-46. So I would take our 8-46, which is a beige chocolate. That's going to add that little bit of chocolate to that formula. So I would do a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio, 1 part 9-24, which is that ash beige, 1 part 7-24, which is ash beige, and 1 part 8-46, which is a beige chocolate. That would create a beautiful mushroom brown at a level 8. Now, it depends on what your level 8 looks like. If you have a lot of orange in your level 8, utilizing just the -24 might be enough for that mushroom brown because your warmth is already in the copper that might be underneath. If you don't have a copper and is a more neutral level 8, that's when I would utilize the 8-46, which is going to be that beige chocolate to add a little bit of that richness into it. So I hope that answered your question. My best recommendation, I get these long swatches on Amazon and I bring them home in different levels and I swatch everything out. So I try different formulas till I find the one that I love the most. Even when I'm changing my color, I'll find a swatch that's this color and I will put colors over top of it until I find the formula I want. Highly recommend, if you haven't done that, swatch things out. And if that didn't answer your question, feel free to also talk to one of our education team members by going to our switchwithskp.com and booking your one-on-one appointment there, and they can talk you through some of their favorite formulas as well, because that's just one I gave. I'm sure there's more. So, all right. Should we use permanent cool on fresh washed hair for roots, or better on unwashed hair? Okay, great. So permanent color, do you need to do it on washed or unwashed hair? In general, permanent color is going to eat through pretty much anything, except if you have that client that uses like that waxy pencil to cover their gray, that wax, that color will not eat through it. Anyone who uses like a waxy pen or covers their grays with some sort of spray, you should wash that out first because it might not allow the color to take. It may block the color from taking. So in that instance, 100% go ahead and wash the hair. If it's just a little bit of dry shampoo and it doesn't feel that dirty, then you can absolutely apply our permanent hair color right over top of that dirty hair. It's just if they're covering that gray root in between, you definitely want to shampoo that out. Or if it feels like there's a lot of product, then you might want to wash that hair out. In general, I've been able to use our permanent hair color on dirty hair, just not on the sprays and like the things that cover the roots. So hopefully that answered that question. Next question here. Do you recommend any of these lines being permed or on after a perm? So perms can be unique. It depends on what perm you're utilizing. I love iso perms. They're by like the Joico brand. It's under the Joico umbrella. I actually worked for them at one point in time and they have the best perms. In general, I would say it's more recommended to maybe do a perming service and then maybe wait a few days before you do the color service. But if you're going to do both, Always do the color after the perming service. Because if you do the perm after the color, you're gonna risk shifting out some of the color you just put on with that perm. So I would not color the hair before the perm. If you're gonna do both in one service, I would do the perm first, and I would utilize Vibrance for my color, and I would apply Vibrance after. So depending on the perm will depend on if you're able to. Some perms say you cannot shampoo out until 48 hours. If it's a perm that says you can't shampoo until 24 to 48 hours, then I would recommend waiting a couple of days before coloring the hair. And if you're doing same day, that's when I would do Vibrance. So great question. It's always a hard one to know, can I do both in one day? So we've got a couple of more minutes here, so we'll see if we can answer a couple more questions. We've got some answers in here. Tell us about E-00. E-00 is no longer available. E-00 was essentially a tube of ammonia. It was essentially something that helped you get one extra level of lift in your color formula. E-00 is not around. You might still be able to find something called Pastel Fire. Pastel Fire was our replacement for E-0. Pastel Fire will be that tool that can give you that one extra level of lift in your color formula. However, this also has a slight hint of a blue violet to it. So it's going to help to control as you're creating that lift. So our replacement is the Pastel Fire. E-00 is not here. You may still find it, but it's essentially a tube of ammonia that you would add to a color formula to help get an extra level of lift. So the only time you would need it is if I was lifting somebody from, say, a level 4 all the way to a level 8, and I wasn't sure they were going to quite get there, then I might add E-0 into it. And then if you used it by itself, you would get up to 4 levels of lift, whereas with Pastel Fire with 40 volume, you would get up to 3 levels of lift on virgin hair only. All right, so we've got a couple more minutes so I can answer another question. Shelby, could you explain neutralizers one more time with an example? I'm trying to lift a level 3 to a level 6, but 6-1, but I don't know whether to add 0-33 or 0-22. That is an excellent question. Sometimes it's hard to know which neutralizer do I use at which level. So in general, 0-11 is a neutralizer of Cendré. That's that blue violet. Any level 8 or above is what's recommended for utilizing that blue violet because you're counteracting yellow orange. If you are a level 6 or a level 7, typically orange is what you're fighting, so you'd want to add 0-22, which is going to neutralize out any orange. If you're a level 4 or below, that's 0-33. That green is going to kick out unwanted red tones, and that's what you're going to want to use level 4 or below. In your example, going from a level 3 to a level 6, at a level 6, I'm going to see orange. So I'm going to want to use 0-22 in my formula. I know you mentioned you want a 6-1. I recommend utilizing 6-12. So if you're going from 3 to 6, you'll want, if it's fine hair, you definitely want to use at least 30 volume. So even on a coarser hair texture, 30 volume should be enough. But if it's really coarse hair, you could even use up to 40 volume. So I'd take 6-12, mix it with equal parts of your 30 volume. If that's not enough counteraction, I would mix a little 0-22, which is that blue, into your formula. So for that, I would say at 0-22, you can add up to 15% of your color formula. So maybe you do 20 grams, let's say 30 grams of 6-12, 5 grams of 0-22. 30 plus 5 is going to be 35, so you'll need 35 grams of your 30 volume Igora Real developer. So I would try that formula, lifting somebody from a level 3 to a level 6. Let me know how it goes. There is actually a 6-23 now available, which has that blue and green. So that could be another beautiful option for you to counteract the warmth that you're going to get as you lift. Well, everyone, guess what? It's time. It's been a full hour. You guys make this so easy. You ask so many questions. If I did not get to your question, we will write down the questions and we have them available for next Tuesday, where I'll be doing this again at 9 a.m. So join me then. In the meantime, if you have more questions, go to Switch with SKP. Say it with me. Switch with SKP.com. Go there, book your one-on-one appointment with an educator. You can follow us on all the platforms and channels and rewatch this later on Facebook or YouTube. So you can rewatch this later on for your questions. You can also follow me on Instagram at AmberHug, AmberHug. happy to answer any questions there too. But join us next week at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Can't wait to see you then. And thank you for everything.
Mm-hmm.